Hey there, this is Alex Kluge from Toronto Home Experts. And before we dive into this month's market update video, you're probably wondering, why am I not in my usual office setting to record this month's video? I'm actually in Portugal in the beautiful Douro Valley on a vineyard recording this month's market update video. So here's where I am. This is not a fake background. I'm literally in Portugal right now on holidays. I want to make sure that, even though I'm away, I'm getting our subscribers and our clients the latest market update so they know what's happening with Toronto real estate. So let's dive into the numbers. After we're done this video, I'm going to enjoy a beautiful glass of wine. But let's jump in and see what's happening with this month's video. All right, so before I jump in, I want to obviously encourage you all to like this channel. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this video with friends. Anyone that you know may be interested to know what's happening in the market. We'd really appreciate the support in sharing this and liking and subscribing if you can. Okay, so let's jump in. So August numbers, as you know, if you've watched these videos the last several years, like August is not the most active real estate month. So it's really tough to gain too much insight into what's happening in just 1 month in the summer. And August is really the slowest month of the year when it comes to real estate activity. Most people are on holidays, kids are off of school, no one's really thinking about real estate. So, you want to take some of these numbers with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it does provide a little bit of glimpse into perhaps what we may be expecting with this fall market. So let's jump in. All right, active listings. So this is now August stats. So before I kind of jump into those stats there, we're now into mid-September. This is when I'm recording this video. The Bank of Canada has just dropped their overnight lending rate by 25 basis points. So we've now seen the third consecutive rate drop for variable rate mortgages. And so, it's a little bit early to say what kind of impact that's going to have with buyers, but certainly early indication is that buyers are perhaps seeing a little bit more confident in that. Obviously, we're not in a rising interest rate environment; we're in a declining interest rate environment, and certainly, the first 2 weeks of activity that we've seen in September has been a little higher than I was expecting. So, I mean, I don't want to put too much, weight into 2 weeks of early September stats, but please watch next month's here because I think this is going to be the most interesting month uh, of market stats to review with you. So make sure to watch next month because it's going to be fascinating to see what happens for the entire month and what trends we can determine. Okay, back to August. So active listings now are up 46%. Like you're probably like, wow, that's huge from last year. And yeah, it's a big number, but bear in mind, we want to basically understand what's happening with active listings relative to sales. And so if we're seeing a widening, like more or inventory rising and sales effectively staying flat or maybe not rising to the same effect, typically you see a price decline. You're in a declining price environment. And that's kind of what we're in the sense that we are seeing inventories rise in August. We're seeing sales not keep up to the same pace of inventories. But it's interesting, prices haven't quite dropped to that same degree. So let's jump in and see why perhaps that might be. So, okay, so average price, you can see, is only down 0.8%. Like that's a rounding error, 1% or whatever it is much, is really not anything to be overly excited about or concerned, depending on which side of the coin you're sitting. But, it is showing that rising inventories typically is a leading indicator to show that perhaps we're not seeing enough inventory being absorbed in the market. And again, it's August. A lot of people are away. A lot of people aren't thinking about real estate in the summer months. So, that's a little bit of part of it. And it's typically what we do see in the summer, but this is a wider gap than we're used to seeing. So something to watch for as we go into the September market. Okay, so average price month over month, that's a good stat that I like to look at because it kind of gives you a snapshot of what's happening. And we're down 3% or 2.9%. That's not nothing, right? And that's going to a little bit more about what we're talking about when it comes to rising inventory. So we've seen inventories rise, a little bit more supply in the market. Naturally, prices are going to come down. So that's a little bit of what we're seeing and explaining why we're seeing that decline. Again, It's August. I don't want to put too much weight into this, but that's really showing me that there is a little bit of softening that we're seeing, certainly in the summer months. All right. Sales volume. That's a number that's a stat that I really follow closely because that shows what kind of the health of the market and what kind of uh, activity and velocity that we're having. So, this is compared to last year, last August, we're down 5%. This is basically, if you're looking at months of inventory, like the absorption of sales to or active listings to sales, this is we're seeing a pretty sharp increase from last year. Again, it's 1 month. I don't want to put too much weight into it, but it is showing that there is some softness out there, and it's not just freeholds, it's not just townhouses, it's condos as well. Like basically, the market is showing that we're it's a little bit slow, and that's not really surprising given the environment that we're in. Like we're in a declining interest rate environment. Why is that? Because the economy is slowing, and one of the tools that the Bank of Canada uses to effectively stimulate the economy is by reducing the overnight lending rate. So we're seeing that as a tool to help sort of increase output in our economy. And there's some warning signs that we're seeing that the economy is perhaps not as great as it is. But really what we want to see here is hopefully, we're in a situation where we see these rates continue, and I don't see us going back to the effectively 0% or whatever you want to call it, like we were during COVID. Those are pretty extraordinary times, but could we see another 150 basis to maybe 200 basis points decrease over the next 12 to 16 months? I think that's possible, and certainly a lot of economists that I read and follow also think that's the case as well. So anyway, something that we're certainly going to follow. But don't want to make this video too long. I am on holidays and in a beautiful setting, as you can see, but I want to make sure that you all receive this video for our month's market update. And so really, I hope you're enjoying the start of your September, and also want to encourage your great questions. Like we're getting a lot of amazing feedback and questions from our viewers, so please keep them coming. You can hit us at any one of our socials, and we're able to respond to your question. And maybe you have a specific question about how these numbers impact your neighborhood or your type of property, because really Toronto is a market of micro markets, and each market is behaving slightly differently depending on where you are. But anyways, have a great month, and be sure to tune in next month because it's going to be fascinating to see where the September stats lie at the end of the month. Thanks again. Bye for now.